Welcome to the talk show. Promising Bangladesh is sponsored by Crown Cement. And this is Sinha A.M. Sayeed and quoting this very talk show. Viewers, today we have invited to a very important guest. One is Dr.Zaidi Sattar, Chairman of Policy Research Institute, PRI. How are you, Mr. Sattar?
I'm fine, thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me.
Other being Mr. Kamran T.Rahman, a leading businessman, at the same time President of Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce and Industries, MCCI. How are you, Mr. Kamran?
Thank you very much, Dr.Sinha. I'm fine, and thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Well, Dr. Sattar, you are a great economist in the context of Bangladesh at least, and you have wide experience in civil service and in the field of economics. You know very well, after the fall of Sheikh Hasina, Professor Dr. Yunus took over as Chief of Interim Government, and he has already formed his advisory committee. The first and foremost challenges before the government, the state of economy at this very moment, especially the banking sectors, NBR, remittance, and other areas mainly connected with the economy, is at a vulnerable position. And do you think the picture is so devastating or not?
Thank you. That's the most provocative question one can ask under the present circumstances. Yeah, we have just gone through a enormous change of direction, I would say. You know, something like this happened back in 1990, and the economy, I'm talking about the economy, the direction of change that happened in 1991 was to the country's and the economy's advantage. That change of direction took the economy on an uphill momentum. I think this is another chance that we have got for the economy. This is a radical change, an upheaval that has opened the doors for a new momentum for the economy. A lot of progress was achieved following the changes that we had in 1990s. But then, with the progress that is out in the open, international analysts have looked at Bangladesh and they have felt that this economy is no longer a basket case. That was stated by the Wall Street Journal in 2010. But beyond the basket case story, we have the test case of development, as Mr. Joost Farland, the first country director of the World Bank, said. This was a test case of development, Bangladesh. If Bangladesh succeeds, there is hope for other developing economies. Now here is Bangladesh now. According to leading development economists, they have said Bangladesh is a success story of development. Now, what we have seen, coming out in the last few weeks, is a story of how wealth creation, an economy that is moving forward, has been slowly, the foundations. There is an underlying current of mega theft, I would say, underlying corruption, mega theft, and that is, as you said, the banking system. It's the heart of the economy, and that is where so much of theft was going on. We were hearing about it. Now we look at the numbers, and it makes us wonder: is the economy still intact? Is it going to survive? Is it going to regain the momentum of progress? So that's where, at this point in time, all I can say is the new government, the interim regime led by none other than Nobel laureate and widely internationally acclaimed and nationally acclaimed economist, Professor Muhammad Yunus, from whom I learned the ABC of economics when he was a professor at Chittagong Government College. So he's now at the helm, he's now in charge. There is an opportunity to change in the right direction, not just for the economy, but also for institutions like the judiciary, like the tax system, like, of course, the political institutions. So we have, I think Bangladesh has a new chance. This is a new opportunity for Bangladesh and Bangladeshis, not just people, but also the business sector. I think the business sector was also suffering from, let's say, the crisis in the banking sector. That is a sector that is most important for private entrepreneurs, private sector. So that is where I think fundamental reforms will have to come, and I think right now the right people have been put in charge. My colleague, Dr. Hassan Mansoor, is in charge of Bangladesh Bank, and I think in Bangladesh he's ideally suited for that assignment. And the team that we have seen, that Dr. Yunus has mobilized for now, they're all the best people in their respective areas. So we have, our reliance on foreign aid has gone down. At the same time, the economy has also progressed. So that is why they call it a success story of development, and it's no longer a test case, as Mr. Yusuf Holland used to say.
Thank you very much. I will come to you again. Well, Mr. Kamran Rahman, you are a business leader, at the same time a businessman. What is your understanding?
Well, first of all, Bangladesh is by no means a gone case. We are the 35th largest economy in the world today, and that also in spite of all the global upheavals that we are having to see. The interim government today, led by Professor Yunus, has got a lot of challenges in his hands. We have to, he has to see to it that there is restoration of law and order in the country. When he took over, there was, he was going through a terrible situation, and now, of course, police is back in the thanas. There might be some problems still, but then again, it's gradually getting resolved. But then again, there are ongoing strikes and slogans and vandalism that we still see every now and then. These have to be addressed properly with the strongest possible hand. As far as the economy is concerned, Bangladesh economy is in a precarious state right now. There's high inflation. Inflation is above 12%, and food inflation is above 14%, and that is actually hurting the citizens of this country very much. Now, the government has also requested some people to come up with a white paper. Now, when this white paper comes out, we will know what is actually the state of the economy. Once we know what the state of the economy is, then we will be able to address every little segment of the economy. If not every single segment, at least the major segments of the economy. And that has to be done. We also know that there's a huge debt burden that the current government has inherited. Back in 2009, I think the debt burden was around 22,000 crores. Today, the total debt burden is around 183,000 crores or something to that extent in 2024. Now, the total debt burden is about 18.36 trillion taka. That's huge. That's huge. This will have to be managed. He will have we'll have to find out ways to manage the budget deficit. How he's going to do, of course, the economists are working on it. Corruption and financial mismanagement, Dr. Zaidi Sattar has already mentioned, has been at a level we did not know of before. We were not. Now, as far as foreign exchange reserve is concerned, we all read in the papers what the current situation is. As per Bangladesh Bank data, it is about $25.8 billion. But if we calculate as per the IMF prescribed method, which is, I think, called BM
Balance of Payments Manual 6.
Say Manual 6.
Yeah.
According to that, the reserve has come down to around 20 point something billion dollars. I think our reserves have come down to a critical point. We cannot afford to go down any less than that. And with Dr. Ahsan Mansoor at the helm of affairs in Bangladesh Bank, I'm sure he is going to address that matter very, very seriously. Now, from the foreign debt, we also have a lot of debt as far as energy is concerned. And I don't think we'll be able to clear all our debt in one go. We might have to renegotiate certain deals. As far as the banking sector is concerned, that is, I think, of critical importance for this government. And look at the non-performing loans. Sorry, what I mentioned before, the non-performing loans were 22,000 crores in 2009. That has gone up to 182,000 crores. And that's huge. And we have to come up with the real figure. Some economists are saying the figure is not, the non-performing loan figure that we see of 182,000 crore is actually much higher than that. Some economists have been saying this is about 400,000 crores. If you take into consideration the rescheduled loans and there are some legal disputes and so on. According to one banker, very recently in a workshop that I was attending, in a meeting that I was attending, he said, we have a very fragile banking sector and some of our banks are clinically dead. I mean, that is an enormous statement. If some of our banks are clinically dead, I mean, how are we going to function? We have to see to it that all banks are able to function for the purpose they were given license to function. As far as Bangladesh Bank is concerned, another issue is the autonomy of Bangladesh Bank. I understand the FID, which is the Financial Institutions Department, the mandate given to FID contradicts the Bangladesh Bank Order of 1972. I hope I'm wrong, but this is what I'm given to understand. The FID mandate actually allows it to exercise authority on the governance of Bangladesh Bank.
Yes, I'll come to you from this point here. Well, viewers, we're going for a short break, and please keep watching. Welcome to the talk show Promise Bangladesh. We are back to the talk show again, Promise Bangladesh, sponsored by Crown Cement. We are having talks with Dr. Zaidi Sattar, Chairman of Policy Research Institute, PRI, and Mr. Kamran T.Rahman, President of MCCI. Mr. Zaidi Sattar, we are having talks on the economy. Now our turn is towards NBR. We know very well NBR is the lifeboat for collecting the taxes and VAT in Bangladesh. Do you think the NBR should be rehauled under the present circumstances?
Thank you for raising this very important question about the National Board of Revenue, NBR. NBR is situated in a very critical position in the economy. It literally, if NBR functions well, the economy is going to be more dynamic. If NBR is not functioning well, the dynamism goes. It stands against the private sector's momentum. It stands against the economy's momentum as well. So it is absolutely essential that this is the opportunity to change the direction of NBR. Now, our NBR has the responsibility of collecting taxes from, and there are three types of taxes, three main broad types. One is, of course, the domestic tax, income tax, corporate tax. The other is the value-added tax, which is a big portion of this NBR taxation. And then there is the trade taxes. Actually, as a researcher in the area of trade and trade policy, I find Bangladesh's trade taxes to be onerous, not only onerous, but also damaging to the economy. Economy's long-term potential, I think, is hampered by the kind of trade taxes we have. As economies develop, and developed economies in particular, their reliance on trade taxes is minimized. But Bangladesh also followed this principle of reducing the reliance on trade taxes back from 1970s. It used to be 60% plus. Now it is down to about 27%. But even 27% is very high. Tariffs and para-tariffs and even value-added tax on imports, make our colleague from the private sector can tell you how much problems these trade taxes create. It creates a disincentive, it creates distortions in the economy. And we have one of the highest tariffs in the world right now. And Bangladesh does not have to have such high tariffs. Even as the average tariff for low-income countries is at 11%, and our average tariffs is at 30%. There's no reason for that. As a lower middle-income country, we have an average tariff of 30%, whereas the average tariff for lower middle-income countries is at 7%. So we are at a level much higher than the average, and we need to go back to that. But that means we have to start the process of rationalizing our tariff structure. If we do not rationalize our tariff structure, we will be left out. The whole world has moved to the second generation trade reforms, where tariffs are not considered important anymore, because most countries have reduced their tariffs. But Bangladesh is still in the old generation. Our tariffs are still high. Now, let me tell you something. Tariffs, particularly protective tariffs, there are two kinds. You need tariffs for generating revenue, and that's the easiest place to get revenue from. You put some tariffs on imports and you get the revenue. But then tariffs also protect domestic industries. However, there is the rationale for protecting domestic industries ad infinitum for as long as you like is not justified. You can have protection at a reasonable level, and I think we are above the reasonable level. And two, we have to have protection for a certain time period, after which you have to introduce competition, introduce import competition. But in our case, even the biscuit industry, we've been producing biscuits for all the 53 years of our existence, and we still have almost 100% tariff on biscuits. Biscuits is no infant industry anymore. In fact, there is a tendency for us to have, tariff protection for adult industries rather than infant industries. So we really need to revisit our tariff structure, and thanks that we have a National Tariff Policy 2023, which has all the right ingredients, and we hope that they will make a serious effort to implement the recommendations in that National Tariff Policy. So if it is done, Bangladesh economy would be more dynamic, and we would attract more foreign investment. Right now, among other reasons, one reason that we are not attracting foreign investment is because we have a very restricted trade regime, because we have very high tariffs. And Bangladesh, I describe it as a dualistic trade policy. We have a free trade arrangement, free trade channel for the ready-made garment sector, but for the rest, we have a highly restrictive trade regime. So Bangladesh cannot be considered to have a very open trade regime, and foreign investors just don't like when the trade regime is very restrictive.
Thank you very much. Mr. Kamran, you listen to Mr. Dr. Zaidi Sattar, and what is your experience as a businessman, as a business letter, because most of the time you are in touch with NBR also?
Yes. As far as the National Board of Revenue is concerned, we need to look at a number of things other than the trade tariffs. We have to look at income tax, we have to look at trade tariffs, as well as VAT. At the moment, the way things are, if we didn't have VAT, would our economy function properly? Probably not. Okay, I understand as far as trade tariff is concerned, it needs rationalization. But then again, we also have to protect our industries, because everything is not equal, with our peer countries. If we take any particular product which is being produced by both countries, Bangladesh as well as any other peer country, we need to look at what advantages they are having in their countries, and then look at ours. Look at the currency level. Are we having any? Is there any overvaluation of our currency, or are we depreciating at the normal level? In the past, we did not. Not too long ago, we had our currency valued at around 83 to 85 taka to the dollar. Today, it is 120 taka to the dollar. So, there are many, it's not so simple. There are many issues that we have to consider before we rationalize our trade tariffs or lower the trade tariffs. And of course, as far as the domestic industry is concerned, we have to protect them. If we can't protect our industries, there will be unemployment. If we look at our unemployment figures or employment figures, or the structure in the labor market survey, we will see there's a huge number of people working in industry, because agriculture cannot give you that kind of employment. So we need to be careful as far as protection or not giving protection to our domestic industries are concerned. Now, the real issue with NBR is the tax GDP ratio. Our tax GDP ratio is below 9%, as opposed to around 17-18% in our peer countries. That we have to increase, but we cannot do it overnight, and we cannot just pressurize the existing taxpayers to pay more. We need to expand our tax net, and without doing that, we will not be able to generate more revenue. It will be difficult. So these are few of the things that I wanted to say.
There are some common allegations from the business community, especially the businessmen, industrialists. They say, we are very fed up with NBR because they are imposing taxes, so many high taxes, and they fail to understand the pulse and the running of the business indeed. Do you think that NBR is doing sometime excess while behaving the businessmen?
Well, if you look at, again, our peer countries or countries in this region, look at their corporate tax rates. Their corporate tax rates are much lower than that of Bangladesh. We have to rationalize that. At the moment, we are not able to, because we are not able to increase or expand our tax net. We have to expand our tax net. And that is how we need to collect more revenue. Not by imposing more taxes on the existing taxpayers and existing industries, existing individuals who are paying taxes. We need to expand. That's the only way.
Thank you. Dr. Zaidi Sattar, what's your opinion on this?
I understand the private sector's concern about reducing protection right away, but there are a few questions about protection. A, how high would you need protection? Do you need 150% tariff in order to protect the air conditioning industry? Or do you need 75%? Who decides how much the tariff should be? Second, you can't have protection permanently. If you have protection ad infinitum, your industries are not going to be able to compete in the world of the future. So competition, you have to introduce competition gradually. Therefore, it is necessary to adopt what is called a time-bound and performance-based protection system. That is the best thing to do. And thirdly, yes, you have to mobilize more tax revenue from domestic taxation like income tax, corporate tax, value-added tax, and reduce reliance on trade taxes, because they are, according to the public finance literature and theory, trade taxes are the most distortionary taxes amongst the three types of tax that we talk about. So that is the story. And in the context of Bangladesh, so I think the responsibility of the new governor of the Bangladesh Bank is to prioritize bringing inflation down, and significantly down. Now, here is my problem with the orthodox monetary policy approach of taming inflation. The package that IMF has given us is the standard approach. You have to tighten your monetary policy, you have to raise interest rates to do that, and you don't allow government to borrow from the central bank, because that is inflationary. But that is going to bring down inflation over a time period, 6 months, 12 months. It will take time. And when inflation goes down from 11.6% to 6 or 7%, mind you, it doesn't mean the price level is going to go down. Price level, to go down, you need a disinflationary shock. So people think that if inflation goes down from 11.6% to 7%, then we have, some relief on prices. No, the price level is still high. It means inflation is a rise in the general price level. So if inflation goes down from 11.6% to 7%, the price level is still high, but its rate of increases is lower. That is a good thing. But in order to give a negative shock...
Thank you very much, Dr. Sattar, and thank you very much, Mr. Kamran Rahman. Viewers, we are going for a short break. Please keep watching. Viewers, we are back to the talk show Promising Bangladesh, sponsored by Crown Cement. And this is Sinha Sayeed sponsoring this talk show. We are having talks with Dr. Zaidi Sattar, Chairman of PRI, and Mr. Kamran T.Rahman, President of MCCI. Mr. Kamran, we know very well that money market, capital market, NBR, these are the three pillars of our economy. And being a president of MCCI, you know very well what is happening in the capital market. Recently, a new chairman has been appointed there, and there are so many rumors that past misgivings and wrongs should be rectified immediately. Otherwise, a lot of chaos and conflict will be there, and damage will be there. What are your focus on the capital market?
Dr. Sinha, as far as the capital market is concerned, you know very well that for a considerable period in the recent past, the Securities and Exchange Commission had imposed a floor price for a very, very large number of companies. So the immediate reaction from people overseas was, what kind of a market is this? I've bought shares I cannot sell. I have also heard stories from people within Bangladesh, elderly people, who said, I need some medical treatment. I need money. My money is stuck in the capital market. I need 5 lakh taka. I can't sell my shares because of this floor pricing. I don't know what kind of theory was going through the mind of the Securities and Exchange Commission.
It is no more.
No, it's no more. But then again, the damage is done. The damage is done. The foreign investors have all gone away. We have to work very, very hard for FDI to come back, to see to it that those investors are coming back and investing in Bangladesh. We have to generate enough confidence in the investors to come and invest in our market. Those investors are gone. Are they going to come back? Maybe, provided all these things are corrected. And as far as industries are concerned, what happens in other countries or other affluent countries of the West? They get these large loans to set up industries from the capital market, not from banks. Here we are taking loans from normal commercial banks to set up industries at very high rate of interest as well. If we could get the loans from the capital market, we wouldn't have to pay any interest on those loans. If the company made money, they would give dividend. And that's how the industry would flourish. We are in a difficult situation right now, but we need to come out of it. And we have a new chairman, of course, but this whole entire system has to be overhauled. Everybody involved in the stock exchanges as well as the Securities and Exchange Commission need to sit together and devise new ways of addressing this problem and to enable investors to gain confidence in the market. And we also need to know from our foreign investors what they need. Just going overseas and having a few road shows is not going to bring investors. We need more than that. We need to find out from them what they require from our market. What kind of rules need to be in place so that they feel comfortable, they feel confident that yes, we invest over here, we'll make money, and we'll also be able to take the dividends out or the capital out. They have not come here to get the capital stuck for good. They need that kind of flexibility, and we need to see to it that the new policymakers are able to do exactly that.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Dr. Zaidi Sattar.
Yes.
Basically, you are an economist, and you understand and realize it, that a kind of mafiacracy in a state of capitalism, or you say the mixed economy, is haunting the economy of Bangladesh.
There's an expression called crony capitalism.
I say crony capitalism and mafiacracy is a more robust word. All these things are haunting the very fate of the economy of Bangladesh.
Yeah.
What are your analyses?
I agree with you on that one. It's haunting. But we heard about things going on in the banking sector that were not kosher. But when we now see the numbers, but it's astonishing. I mean that's an understatement. So it is. But there again, I would like to believe, and I think if I look at the numbers, macro data in particular, the economy is not in shambles. Some people would like to say, "Oh, economy is." As I said, the key drivers of this economy, ready-made garments, remittances, agriculture, multilateral aid, and NGOs. NGO government partnership in Bangladesh has been recognized, particularly for health, education services, human development services. This partnership has been recognized as one of the top partnerships. So all of these are still intact. It's not the banking sector, it's the heart of the economy. But so this needs to be immediately rejuvenated, revamped, and we need to get to those fundamental reforms that will bring the banking sector in the right shape. And as our colleague Kamran T.Rahman from the private sector said, they have to start borrowing from the capital market. The capital market has to be rejuvenated. So Bangladesh cannot have anything better in order to move in a new direction. It's a sort of a new dawn, if you might say. And I think going forward, we will, I think, re-establish the assessment of leading development economies that Bangladesh is a success story of development. And that day is not far away. Bangladesh is already on an upward takeoff. We have crossed the takeoff stage already. We are in the lower middle income country, 35th largest economy in the world, and you'd be surprised that this economy is larger than many OECD developed member countries, almost the size of Singapore's GDP. So we have come of age. Now it's a question of moving upwards with the right kind of policies, and we need some fundamental reforms in the judiciary, in the election system, the political. So we need to have political stability in the real sense. We had seen political stability, you might call it stability, but underneath there was a growing, sentiment of opposition, which could not be expressed. But then there was this upheaval where we got the message was given. So we have to. And of course, the tax system needs overhaul, clearly. And so these are the areas where Bangladesh needs, and the government needs to exercise some vision and then implement some of these fundamental reforms that will not only stabilize the political economy, but will also stabilize the economy and let it move forward with higher growth. The growth potential is there. We have a young population. I think aged 35. I think we have half the population aged under 35, and that's we can get the demographic dividends from this population, the young population, and they are the future. So Bangladesh, the policies, the economic policies in particular, would have to be dynamic. I would argue for open trade policies, export-oriented economy, because export-oriented economies create more jobs than economies that are inward-oriented and relying on the domestic market.
Thank you.
So
Thank you
that
very
is where
much.
Bangladesh has to go.
Mr. Kamran Rahman, my last question to you. What is the future of bond market in Bangladesh?
We have a very young capital market. Bond market is even something that most people are not very clear about. But that's an area where we have to look into, and it's coming. But then again, more people need to know about it. More people need to use it for their own advantages, for the industries to get finance for their mills and factories, and at the same time that will also give an opportunity for savers. They can also save money in the bond market. I want to get back to something Dr. Sattar said a little earlier. Diversification. You mentioned diversification, you mentioned about inflation also, that it from 11% to 5 to 6%. I understand Bangladesh banks target inflation is 5 to 6%. That's not going to happen in a hurry. But we are working towards it. As far as diversification is concerned, Dr. Sattar mentioned that we need to, of course we need to diversify, but why have we failed to diversify? Look at the leather industry. Even the leather industry is not in a state that it should be in after so many years. Why? Because they're not getting the same facilities, same advantages as the RMG sector. What about the bonded warehouse facilities? You give the bonded warehouse facilities to the leather sector, as well as maybe the furniture sector, as well as few other sectors, and we will be able to export. I know you asked me about the bond market. I'm not very, very familiar with the bond market. I can't say much about it. But as far as our economy is concerned, we are in an upward trajectory. There are fundamental reforms to be made in various areas, but then again, we have to realize that this interim government is only a couple of weeks old. But we have a unique opportunity. If we fail to take this opportunity to turn around the economy, I don't know when the next opportunity is going to come. So we are lucky that we have Dr. Yunus as the chief advisor, and with his knowledge, with the team that he has formed, I am optimistic that he will be able to turn around this economy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kamran Rahman, and thank you very much, Dr. Zaidi Sattar. We are going to end this talk show, and before ending the talk show, I have to summarize in short what the two speakers said here. Viewers, both the speakers are very vocal about the economy of Bangladesh, and both of them are in the field of economy and financial sector in Bangladesh. Especially Dr. Sattar, he is a vocal voice and a man of eminence in the field of economics and economy, at the same time having wide experience and knowledge at home and abroad. And he believes Bangladesh is moving forward. It is not lagging behind. And Mr. Kamran Rahman, being a businessman, at the same time president of MCCI, one of the most important centers from the standpoint of business center in Bangladesh, he also believed that whatever mistakes we have done in the past should not be repeated. And for the betterment of the country, under the leadership of Professor Dr. Muhammad Yunus, who is a Nobel laureate, and under whose leadership Bangladesh may have a very, very golden chance to move forward. And both of them believes and emphasize that whatever we have and whatever resources and assets we have in hand are not so small. We can make it from bigger to bigger, provided we need leadership and management each and every stage. And that is the main discussion of the two persons here. And thank you very much. We'll come to meet you again in the next talk show.